Hi guys, I'm totally hacking Jackie's page here. I will take her so she knows I'm in here. All right, so your beautiful leader said, hey, you want to go live? And so some of you guys might have already caught me before. This has been, I don't know, like a month or two. I hopped in here and just introduced myself and had my why and what, my story and all of that. And I came back to maybe help inspire somebody out there because my story's a little unique. Hi, loves. So if there was ever a timing to kind of pep people up, it's like right now. Like we are literally in the pre-boom stage of conference and whatnot. And oh my gosh, like I'm so fired up. Like I got my stuff right beside me. Like I am just like ready. Like I'm just ready. So much has happened. So just recently I was at Green Carpet. I got, asked to speak on stage on that white couch for the first time. Oh my gosh. And it's just crazy. So back up a little bit. 3 years ago, like you wouldn't even like recognize me just speaking. I was just a completely different person. Excuse me. I had just lost my mom to a very quick and aggressive cancer. I was 8.5 months pregnant with crazy boy over there. And it was crazy. Like, so when I learned I was pregnant with him, a week later, I found out with my mom's cancer diagnosis. And you know how, like, I don't know if you've had a loved one that's had cancer, but usually you have like time to prepare and whatnot, but it was kind of a unique situation because the doctors was saying, oh, it's not a big deal on this one. It's just a little spot on her lung, little chemo. It's like, really, it's not that bad, And so she was having chemo and whatnot, and things seemed fine. And she came over to my house that October. We had great girl time with me and my sister. And she was like in really, really good spirits. I spoiled the crap out of her. And then that's October. And then November is Thanksgiving. Hello. And it was just like I took one look at her and I just knew. I have a background in the medical field as a radiology supervisor. So I'm used to being around, sick people and whatnot. And I knew that her cancer had way exploded. And so she had like this grayish tinge to her. And I'm just like, I was trying not to cry because it was like Thanksgiving, and I sat right next to her and she just kept saying, yeah, I don't feel right. And so she made me promise not to like break up the Thanksgiving meal, and we like enjoyed things as a family. But that very next day I came back home because she was a couple hours away. And I woke her up that next morning and I said, hey, go to the doctor. And she was a little cranky pants because she, was never a morning person. And she got up, went to the doctor, and she basically never left. And so things were really, really fast. They're from a super small town. So if you ever listen to my story, we're from a town of 3,000 where there's not resources for stuff like that. And so she went to that hospital and she was declining really, really fast. And then I got my nurse friend and we came and brought her to where I live in the city. And unfortunately it was too late. And that was by far, oh my gosh, the worst moment of my life was holding my mom as she's bawling her eyes out. She was never one to cry. Bawling her eyes out on my shoulder and like my belly's in the way because I was so pregnant, as the doctor told her that there's no hope, that they would not even give her chemo because it would just be torture on her. And it was awful. It was absolutely awful. Like, and because that whole time my mom was like, oh, I'm going to beat it. Not a big deal. I have her medical records now, and I wish I would have gotten them back then. She was such a stubborn soul. Stubborn. And she wouldn't show me nothing. And I don't know if maybe she just knew that it was worse along and she just didn't want to burden us. I'm not sure. And come to find out, it was actually in her lymph nodes that whole time. And I don't know how much you guys know, but lymph nodes are all over your body. So you get it in your lymph node and it's really difficult to stop it because it spread so rapidly. So what had happened is that the cancer had encased her organs and was suffocating her organs. And it was just all over the place. So it's, to say the least, when you lose somebody that important, it definitely changes perspective with life. Because like growing up, we were really poor, like poor. I lived in a metal trailer with no running water, no electricity. I mean, that's why I don't like to camp. I hate camping because I camped like my whole life. And so it was hard. It was really, really cold where we lived. And like, I didn't even buy my first coat until I was like 18 years old. And so, I worked hard in school, got straight A's in school, went to, college twice, got straight A's there, 4.0, like, and I was pregnant my first college round. I was pregnant with my firstborn. She was an oopsies. And, but it was one of those things when you come from like kind of a rough background that I'm like, I'm doing this. And so worked really hard. I was 4 months pregnant starting my x-ray school, and it was awful. And so anyways, you fast forward, and 2 different college degrees and all this, and it's like, what? Like, by all means, I had made it, right? Like, but then it's like you lose someone, and it's like, I don't have anything, like, I looked around and I had, my babies and my husband that I never seen. And it's just like, man, like, I don't feel like, I truly felt that if I had passed away myself, that I would just be lost in oblivion where I didn't even make a difference in this world. And it really struck me hard because I am a giver at heart. Like, it's who I am, And so I truly felt like just like this brick wall where I just hit face forward, and then you mix in where I'm trying to grieve, have a baby. Mind you, the beautiful part of that was that he was born directly on my dad's birthday, which my mom wanted. So it's just like they share a birthday, which is super special. And I guess that was God's way of balancing things out with grief, a birth for, a death. And, as I'm like trying to heal myself, he was a 10-pound baby. He was a huge flipping baby. I hated life. I hated myself. I hated life. I have like mirrors all over my house. I couldn't even like look at them. I was so broken as a person. And I just remember thinking I'm like, something has to change. Nobody knew how bad it was at home either. Like, yes, I had a great job. My husband worked full-time too. But we made a lot of mistakes. My big heart kind of got me in trouble. Like when the economy shifted in 2009, 10, we took in a lot of people in our house. We had 20 people at one time. It was crazy. And I was the only one working. My husband got laid off right at the same time. I had baby number 2, Drajan, and he asked for paternity leave for just a week, and they laid him off. So it was really difficult. All of a sudden, I had to take care of all these families. And I only explain that because I've had many people say, well, if you had such a great job, then why were you so broke? And that is why we made a lot of mistakes early on. And we're young parents. We were, I got pregnant at 19, and there was nobody to teach me the ropes with things, And so unfortunately, credit cards, all the debts, all of that just came, climbing, and bad choices. And so you fast forward so many years. At that point, we had collectors that were, oh my gosh, they're nasty. They're nasty. They're mean. And, it would be all day long too. It wouldn't matter how early or how late. They would always call. We were the ones that would be doing payday loans every 2 weeks because we could never pay them off, and those are like expensive. That was like a couple $100 in fees alone. We would go decline in our account the whole payday to payday. We didn't even make it to that. Like, it was that bad. We would get to that like Tuesday before a payday, and we were already out of money. We might have, $20 left in our account. Well, we still needed to eat, and we still needed gas. So what are you going to do? So I would go to the store and spend like $10 in a couple, like, I knew to a T where to get the cheapest of the cheap of everything. Like that, I memorized the stores because I'm weird like that. So I knew where to get my cheapest meat, which was a business Costco down the street. It was 46 cents a pound and it was disgusting, you guys. Like, to this day, like, I think about, it was like rubbery chicken, but it was the cheap stuff. I didn't have a choice. And I knew the cheapest bread. I knew the cheapest everything. And I'd go to the store, spend my $10 on meat and whatever I could. And then that other $10 or $5, whatever I had left, I would go to the gas station right up here, that's right around the corner, and I would intentionally decline on my account. Because just so you know, how gas stations work is that they don't know how much money you have in your bank. And so even if you have a couple dollars, it'll catch it and it won't stop it when you're out of money. And I caught on that quick. And so I would intentionally go way decline in my account and what was I going to do? Like, we had to drive the kids to school and stuff. And so it just got to that point where it would be like 15, 20 declines in a month. Like, it was bad. And so I had hit like rock bottom. Like, I had already Googled bankruptcy. I knew to a T how much fees it was going to cost me, the whole thing. And to say the least, like, I don't know who's married out there and have had financial problems, but you know that you're fighting a lot. Like, I fought with my husband. We've been together since like elementary school. We're kind of weird. And, but man, we fought. And because we fought all the time, the kids fought all the time. Like, oh my gosh, I would call my husband. He'd be at work. I'm like, oh my gosh, the kids are going to do it. And it's because it was such our foundation was just off, like we were just miserable. And so I got to the point, I'm like, okay, what is it going to cost me for bankruptcy? My husband had already talked to his sister. Hey, can we move in with you? She said no. I looked up on Craigslist. I'm like, okay, what's the cheapest rent? Because we live in a huge house. This thing is giant. And so we were looking at maybe scrunching in like a 2-bedroom apartment or something. And I just felt like the biggest failure ever. I felt like a rotten mom. I felt like a terrible wife. Like, I worked how hard to get to this point. And then you weed in what happened with my mom. And then you weed in like how my body was it disgusted me. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I was so disgusted with myself. And that's really bad. Like, I don't hate on myself like I used to, but like after babies and big babies, like your body don't bounce back too fast when you get older. And my daughter started having nightmares with me. And that was like my kind of like, oh shoot, I need to do something. She was literally having nightmares where something was going to happen to mom. And it was just like, oh, And so I was I was talking to my sister and I'm just like, gosh, maybe I should do a blog or something. I'm like, well, that don't make no sense. I don't know about that. And I was like joking and I'm like, man, it'd be cool if I can get paid losing weight and stuff. Because I'm competitive. And I did that once at the hospital where we had like this bet and I totally won. And that's why it came up. And then I was talking to my friend Candace, that's from Nebraska. And she's like, I was due to be in a wedding. So I'm really introverted. Like, I don't people very well, like at all. Like at all. And so I was freaking out because I was due to be in this wedding. I wasn't even asked. I was told that I was a bridesmaid, and I never mixed my personal and professional stuff with the hospital. So all of a sudden, all I could think of is I'm going to be in this skin tight dress, looking like I'm still 7 months pregnant, and all of my like coworkers are going to be just like staring at me because I lived in my scrubs. And I'm just like, this is like, I was like trying to grieve for my mom, my body going through the change of after a baby and just like, oh my gosh. And it was just like, man, can I just catch a freaking break? Like, really? And so my friend, she's like, oh, I have these skinny wraps. Da, 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 da. And I'm just like, how do I get out of this conversation? Like, I don't want to hurt her feelings, but no thanks. And so, bless her heart, she like kept on me, follow up. And I still didn't believe her, you guys, at all. Like, I didn't even give her the time of day. I love her, but I literally shut that conversation down each time. And she kept on my case. And then finally she's like, look, if you don't want to believe me, then go follow this person on Facebook. And I'm like, whatever. And then, so I did. So I go follow this chick, and I'm like, oh, she's a hottie. She like lost like 50 pounds, looked great. And her life was the opposite of mine, given she didn't have no kids or nothing. But I see her and her husband traveling the world, so carefree. And I'm just like, this is really real. I don't know about that. And then I hit my first weekend back at the hospital because I was on like maternity leave. Hit the first weekend back. And finally, and I had already like kind of asked my husband, I'm like, well, can I just go get these wraps and try them? And he's like, no, we don't have money for it. Whatever. And we didn't. We really didn't. We were broke. And when you're on maternity leave, you only get like 60% of your pay. So we were like like it was bad. And so I get back, and then I had extra time at the hospital. I have 16-hour shifts. And so I'm like, I Googled the wrap ingredients because I'm nerdy. And I'm like, oh, maybe these do work. And that was kind of my aha moment of like, I need to pay attention. And then I remember my friend's voice. So I hope that you guys say this to people. For only $40 more, you can get the same wraps and make money at the same time. So I remember her saying that. And so I'm like, oh, shoot, maybe I should just be a distributor then. I'm like, what if this is actually something, you know? Now, I ended up not signing up with my friend, but I ended up signing up with the stranger on Facebook. And it was nuts. I got in trouble. I came home. I signed up the 4th of July. I had already decided not to pay my cell phone bill so that I can get fireworks for the kids because, you know, kids wanted to play. And I used that money. And so when I came home, they were really mad at me, all of them. Why'd you do that, Mom? My husband didn't even like talk to me. He's like, really? Really? You couldn't wait a couple weeks when you got paid? I'm like, no. Like, that's 2 more weeks that the wedding is going to be due. And he was just pissed. And so back then the kit took forever to get to you. You guys were lucky. It took 10 days, I think, to get to my house. And so I opened up the kit, opened it up, put on a wrap. I made my husband put one on. He was just like, really? I don't have any desire to do this. I'm like, shut up, you're doing it. So thank goodness, you guys, because I used a wrap, he used a wrap, and then, we waited the 72 hours, put on the second one, and our results were freaking insane. Like, insane. Now I know that I have a gazillion health problems, and I didn't know it back then, but I just knew that my body was just different. Like, nothing would work on me. And so I have, like, hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's. I have, my adrenal glands don't work. I have a gazillion autoimmune issues. Like, you name it, I got it. It's just crazy. So for the wraps to work, our stuff is amazing. And I really just ran with that. I didn't even know we had other products. I had no idea. And so I was just pumped out. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at my stuff. Oh my gosh. And for not peopling well, like, and I blew conversations. I didn't know what I was saying. I sent long novels and all this, but somewhere along the way, I was able to get Ruby in 2 weeks. So got Ruby in 2 weeks. I'm like, well, shoot, that was kind of easy. Signed up my husband, got him Ruby that next month. So we earned the $500 bonus and another $500 bonus. And then I really had no idea what I was doing. So I'm like, maybe I should actually research like I normally do with school stuff. So then I took a step back and I researched Jade Hooper like nobody's business, got a game plan down. And in the midst of that, things weren't great with the kids. They were being like, I was going to say stupid psychopaths, but basically they were psycho. They were psycho. Like my teenage kid, like girls, oh my gosh. And it was just bad. And so I would escape. I was starting to get panic attacks every evening. I have like anxiety that's high. And I would escape down the street and have my pho soup and my little drink every day. Just to 2 seconds of sanity. And I'm like, this is not normal. Because I was doing this like at least 4 to 5 times a week. At least. And so then I found out that we had Confianza. I didn't know we had it. And then one particular rough day, my husband comes home. I'm bawling because I miss him. Like, I never saw my husband. And then the kids were being psycho. I felt like a single mom. I never got time to heal at all. Like, 10-pound baby, and he immediately went back to work. And so all of a sudden, I have like this 1-week-old baby, and I'm trying to do basketball practice, deal with my psycho children. Like, oh my gosh, it was too much. And I broke. Like, he came home, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this. Kids are psycho. I'm losing it. I'm done. And I don't know. He's like, I'm like, either you bring your mom to live with us, which I'm like, I really didn't want to do that because who wants their parents to live with you? Or I'm like, something needs to change. I don't know what, but something needs to change. And he looks at me and he's like, well, if you do well in the business, I'll quit. You guys have no clue. Like, our family time consisted of a Monday night for like 3 hours out of the entire week. All week, 3 hours. I worked 2/16 Saturday and Sunday. My husband worked Tuesday through Friday, like these 12-hour crappy shifts because it wasn't near our house at all. And so it was literally when the kids got home from school, we had to bust butt, get their homework done, get dinner going, and you're trying to hurry, right? You're chopping that food. Like, all right, we gotta go. And then, you know, try to like maybe watch a movie or something, but it really didn't ever amount to anything, right? Like it was like something never, like there was always something that came in the way. And I would get so cranky because to me, family time is everything. Losing my mom and everything, like I wanted my family dinner. Like I wanted my family dinner. I know that sounds maybe cheesy to some, but the only thing that I really remember with my mom is our family dinners together and our like road trips, right? I don't remember the rest of it. It was our family dinners and our road trips. And so all I could think of was like, man, it'd be nice to have that for my own family, you know? And so when he comes up and he's like, yeah, if you do well in the business, then I'll come home. I'm just like, game on. Like, really? So this was like November of that year. So I signed up in July. And I researched, like I poured into Jade Hooper. I was like taking notes. I had like notebooks, right? I'm just like, okay, I got to do this. And then I just went to town. So I cleaned up my Facebook, right? We know we can have 5,000 Facebook friends. I cleaned it up. I got rid of a whole bunch of people. I added like a psychopath. I got my posts were better quality where I got rid of the ShamWow commercials. And like really cleaned it up. And then like I just was more intentional, like more heartfelt, and I just went to town. So that was like November. By April he was home. So like it was crazy. It was really fast. And so got him home and everything changed. Our entire dynamics for our family changed. So like no longer were the kids like at each other's throat because dad was home, right? Like there was no pitting each other because you know how it is. And so that happened and I'm like, okay, like what next? And so you guys, like it just like was promotion after promotion. Like it ended up being where the collectors stopped calling and not being where I didn't have to worry about PUD notices on the door anymore or the landlord screaming at us because man, he's cranky. He really is. Or whatever. Like, and then we started being able to buy better groceries and all of this and paying off some debts that were just nagging on us, right? And then like I'm one where I'm like, gosh, I'm a little bit afraid to like dream bigger. Like, is that selfish of me? Like, you know, but then I'm just like, screw it, I'm going. And so I watched Denise Walsh on stage early in the business, and that idea of retiring got formed because she's a psychologist. It was the first time I saw a medical professional retire doing the business. And I was like, well, shoot, can I do it? And so in the midst of all that, we were paying off debts and whatnot. We won the Bahamas cruise that they offered a long time ago. And that was like a second honeymoon. I got gypped on my first honeymoon. Long story short, I was pregnant and I wasn't supposed to be. So I was sicker than a dog. So it was so nice because it was like a second honeymoon, just the two of us. It was so awesome. And then we started like having like experiences, right? With my mom, like I remembered the experiences. So I went a little crazy. Like we went all over the place. Like we drove from Seattle, Washington, all the way to San Diego, California, stopping at all the beaches. We did Disneyland. We did SeaWorld. Like we literally spent $10,000 on that trip. And then we did all sorts of other vacations. Like we have had so much fun. And I know this is probably kind of irresponsible, but for me, I wanted to do something, right? Now we're trying to be better and like we're paying off other debts and all this, but it's just been crazy. So as of this last April, I'm now home. I'm completely retired now. 15-year career, 2 college degrees, goodbye. That was hard because it took a lot of sacrifice to even get to that point. But you guys, like nothing fills my soul up more than this business. I love my life now. And I can't even begin to tell you like I wasn't sure if I was going to do it. So I called out a few weekends first and just to kind of test the waters. That first weekend I called out, I looked at my husband. I'm like, I think I'm going to call out this weekend. My husband is not the mushy type. Like he's just not, right? And he like scoops me up for like this giant bear hug and is like cheering. And I'm just like, I like totally cried. I'm like, oh my God. And like, I didn't realize like he like missed me. You know, sometimes it's like, well, maybe they want a wife break. And then I went and I told the kids and they're like, yay, woohoo, mom's gonna be here. And I'm just like, and it just like really struck me. I'm like, man, like maybe they do miss me and maybe like I can do this, you know? And you guys, I didn't realize how toxic my work was. I did what I had to do for my family. I worked hard every time I worked, and it was really toxic. I had coworkers that were really nasty to me. I had a boss that was a pervert, quite frankly. I never got raises. I had expectations that most people would quit with. Like, they kept taking away employees. We were so shorthanded, and we had been shorthanded for 5 freaking years. And I checked in after April, and it's worse. They took more people away. Like, it never got better. My boss was starting to get to the point where he, like, knew things were going well with the business, and so he was trying to, like, intentionally sabotage my time, if that makes sense. And so he's like, oh yeah, you're going to be expected to take this class, this class, this class, this class. And they were all weekdays when I was off, and like all summer long. Like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, I just can't. And I was already making way over what I was making with like the hospital, but it was that comfort blanket, right? Like, I don't know, like it was hard to get to that point. Do I really want to do this? But I went to Green Carpet in Texas that very next weekend. And I talked to Miss Denise Walsh, and I'm like, how did you know? And she's like, you're gonna know. And I came home, and I'm like, I'm done now. And it's just so funny because somebody had asked me when I first started the business, when are you going to retire? And I just threw it out there because 8s are my number. I got married 8/8/08, and I'm like 8/18/18, or 8/8/18. And you guys, that's what ended up happening. That I went presidential in August. So it's just crazy because, like, you guys, I like anything that you can think of as far as an excuse, I can do one better. I can totally do one better. From a small town of 3,000, bullied like no other, super low self-esteem, no network. I started with 50 Facebook friends, teen mom, moved to the big city where I knew nobody, worked on a shift that is antisocial. It's all weekends, where everyone's out doing things. Like all of it. All right. Like I had a panic attack the first post I made with this business, but guess what? You got to dig deep. And my fear, like my desire to help others and my own family, was greater than my fear. Like, and you're going to have to get to that point, you know? And maybe because I hit rock bottom on so many different parts of my life, like what we do is not hard. It really isn't. It really isn't. It's just you have to talk to people and do certain X, Y, and Z. And if you don't do it, you're not going to make it. And so, like, for me, like, man, my life, it's so carefree. Like, I had a $23,000 paycheck. Like, that's like the amount of people making a year. You know, like, that's insane. And, like, what the plan is that we're doing for this month, we're trying to break some records. Like, it's crazy. I was on the freaking white couch, you know, like I did the Monday night call where 20,000 views. Like, for somebody that I literally had a full-blown phobia of public speaking. Petrified. You could see it on all of my report cards as a kid. I don't people. Like at all. And so it's just crazy. Like, it's just one of those things, like, do you want your life to change or not? Like, and nobody's going to do it for you. If you're expecting your upline to build you, then you're going to fail. If you're expecting people just to climb into your inbox, oh, can you sign me up as a customer and a distributor today? It's not going to happen. Like, that's silly. But I will tell you this. I certainly wish somebody would have been in my inbox telling me about this business before I hit all that crap. Like, I wouldn't have been, like, I would not have sacrificed my time away from my baby girl had I known about this business years ago. Like, I wish somebody would have told me about it. I would have jumped in a heartbeat. So we get so caught up in our heads, oh, they're going to say no, or this person said no. Well, there is somebody out there that needs you, but you haven't even talked to them yet. So just to put in perspective, you not sharing is doing a disservice. This business is so beautiful, you guys. Like, when you really get to know the CEO and his wife and just how great they are, like, there is nothing in the world like this. There just isn't. And I am just like, I love my life. And I hated my life 3 years ago. Like, you guys, like, what a lot of people don't know with me is I shouldn't even be alive today. Like, at all. Because I was so suicidal for so many years with how bad things were. I went through a lot of things that I would not wish upon anybody at all. And even as an adult, when I was hitting rock bottom with my mom, I was in the garage with the key to the ignition with that door down, and I had thought about it. And so I do not take any of that lightly. I know that God had a special plan and purpose, and I was made to be speaking to people like you and just to give hope and inspire in some way that there is so much more that you have. There is so much more out there, but quit letting your fear dictate your life. It's silly. I remember reading this thing a few years back, right when I had started this, and somebody had done a study on a whole bunch of older people. They were in the nursing home and kind of end of life people, and they asked them, do you regret anything of your life? And all of them had about the same answer. They were saying how they wish that they would not have listened to other people, how they wish they would not have let fear dictate their life, how they just wish that there was no boundaries, right? We put ourselves in these little cages. Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Yes, you can. Who put the cage there? You did. So you got to take it off and just go for it. And I promise you, it'll be the coolest feeling ever. So what if somebody says no? You're not going to die. You're not, right? Because there is somebody that will say yes to you, and you're going to change their life. To me, I look at it very much man, I got my best friend that I work with, that I've given them a gift of being home with their child. That is a big gift. That is a priceless gift. And we have the capabilities of doing something like that. I have my 18-year-old leader that was a teen mom she was 15 years old when she got pregnant, was abused by her husband, never graduated, was around meth addicts and all this crazy stuff, you guys. And because of this business, she now has a brand new apartment, literally brand new. She was the first one to live there. Got a $5,000 raise, is a diamond going for double. She will be an ambassador speaking on stage someday. I got goosebumps just talking about her. It is crazy with this business, and my leaders, I strongly suggest looking at my live video today. That is my number one person, my strongest leader. You guys, she lived on an island, a remote island in the middle of the Pacific, 3,000 miles away from me. Their minimum wage was 75 cents an hour. And she had to bum Wi-Fi off the neighbor because they do not have Wi-Fi over there. It's third world country thing. Excuse me. And you guys, she's boxed for presidential right now. They literally just moved to Hawaii. But that is my number one person. Talk about no excuses. And she's Islander. My husband's a Pacific Islander. That's how we got to know each other. And their culture is very much if you think it's harder for you guys when you get your nose, that culture is the most skeptic, kind of nasty, mean with this business than I've ever met out of any other ethnicity group. So, and then we take for granted, oh, let me sign you up with your credit card. They don't even have cards back then. They have no debit cards. They don't have no credit cards. They have cash. Well, what are you going to do with that? And there's no prepaid cards even around. And she is for freaking presidential. So I'm just saying, if you really want this, it'll happen. But 80%, they said it at Green Carpet, and I'm man, I love it. 80% of this business is freaking mindset. You're not where you want to be right now because you have told yourself that you will not be there. So go plaster it on your mirror. Go plaster it on a whole bunch of piece of paper everywhere. You need to tell yourself, I am blank. I am blank. I am blank. For mine, I am ambassador. It's happening. I don't even care. It's happening. I know to a T how many distributors I need. I'm ready. But you've got to keep saying it and saying it and saying it and then believe it. God didn't put you right where you are right now just to say, oh, here is this business that you can earn whatever you want to make and there's no limits, but go ahead and just fail at it. No, he gave it to you because you asked for it and you were crying about it. But he gave you the tips and tools, but you got to actually do something about it. So just saying. But I know I kind of went off there, but hopefully this helps somebody out there. I am excited. I love what I do. Jackie ain't going nowhere either. She is a freaking fireball. I love her. And it's just when you lock arms with people like that, you are in a good spot oh my gosh, with what is about to happen. I will tell you this, go to conference, come give me a hug, and go to conference though, you guys. Boom season is right around the corner. They are already starting off with a bang. It is, if there's one thing to say, go to freaking conference. because the first round I didn't go. It put my business back an entire year. Oh my gosh. And so I went the round 2, ranked, double ranked, then I double ranked from there, then I double ranked again. Like, hello conference. So conference is, woo, I'm already pumped up. We got a group chat started. We are ready. But I hope you all have a good night. If you have any questions, put below and I'll answer it for you. But it's go time. Like, do not put that limit on yourself. I'm telling you, like, you're made for so much more than that. So I hope that you guys were inspired. I'll talk to you guys later.